All right, and welcome back, everybody, to SFL. Welcome back, everyone, to our round 2 of SFL Rookie Draft. I am Ashley Jackson, aka AJ Stryker, quarterback of the Arizona Scorpions, as well as GM and your community ambassador. Happy New Year to you. I hope that you all have enjoyed your time with your family and your friends, and I'm glad that you came back with us tonight. I have an esteemed panel with me tonight, which includes, first off, the creator of the SFL, Commissioner Cameron Irvine, and then I have Stephen Hacker, wide receiver for the Fort Worth Toros. He is our statistician as well as broadcaster, owner, and game day operations. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Ashley. Glad to be here. Excited to get all these rookies off the boards and see where they land on these teams and getting us that much closer into season 18.
Indeed. Next up, I have Tyler Fogg, free safety for Louisiana. Also statistician, content creator, and broadcaster. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, AJ. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year, and looking forward to round 2.
Awesome. And I have Mr. Michael St. Green, wide receiver for the London Knights, assistant GM, studio co-host with Cameron Irvine for pre-game, post-game, and half-time reports during our regular seasons. How you been?
Hey, doing great, Ashley. Happy New Year to everyone out there. And hey, second round picks, have no fear that you were not taken in the first round. The second round of the SFL draft that produced some of the greatest personalities and players ever seen in this league. So hey, you keep your heads up and look forward to hearing your name called in the draft today.
Indeed. Do not be discouraged just because you didn't hear your name for the first round. Plenty of rounds to go. Now we are heading into Tulsa's pick. And Tulsa still needs 4 players. They had a really good pickup with Douglas Brown as their halfback from Boise. So Stephen, can you tell me a little bit about what Tulsa's next move should be?
Well, I look down there what they have on their roster currently, and offensive linemen slipped all the way out of the first round. So I mean, if Tulsa really wants to go offensive linemen to help their rookie running back as well as their quarterback JQ, owner Dion Hawkins can definitely go that way. I'm not sure if Dion and Berto have a strict game plan that they're looking to go for in this draft, but if you want to give your running game some help, give your quarterback some help, you can definitely go offensive lineman.
Absolutely. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I like the offensive lineman pick, though we've got both defensive tackles, true defensive tackles, still on the board in Buster Johnson, Odette Boudreau. Odette Boudreau has really impressed me, especially late on in the season and into the semifinal and their unfortunate loss to Lexington. I think Odette Boudreau is the wise pick here for Tulsa.
Got it. And Mike.
Yeah, just looking over the roster here, I think Tulsa may go and strengthen the secondary. I don't see a nickel corner or safety on this roster, so they may go that route. Linemen, they could possibly address that again later in the third round. But yeah, I look for them to probably go secondary here.
Okay, so they do have a remaining salary cap of $255.8. So they do have a few spots to fill with that. So Stephen, do you think that if they go O-line, do you think that they would be able to pick up a linebacker maybe later on?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's enough depth at the linebacker position that they could get a linebacker in later selections. I do look down on their roster, though, and I notice they don't have any special teams help. No kicker, no punter. And I wonder if Tulsa looks to take the first kicker off the board because that kicker, Brooke Beisel, has quite a bit of value that they could use towards their cap and help lock down this roster. So maybe a little last second guess there for me, but I think maybe a kicker here for Tulsa could come off the board.
What about cornerback, Tyler? You think they can go cornerback too?
Yeah, corner, kind of how Mike was saying, they kind of need their nickel back or corner, or maybe even a strong safety, free safety to slot in there. And that's the biggest concern for me is their offseason actually was really quiet. Only one free agent acquisition in the form of Jim Copeland Jr. to partner partner up, Viva La France, Jason France, at the tight end spot. So they have a very, wide and deep wide receiving core to include the tight end spot. They pick up Douglas Brown with the first overall pick. Fantastic selection. Content creator, runs the sim pod, makes everything tick over there. He's going to immediately come in and slot in nicely for Sansa Robinson, who switched from that halfback spot to the wide receiving core in that fourth wide receiving spot. So for them to be very quiet in the offseason about their defensive backs, about, maybe not even trying to target, I don't know what it was like for them going into free agency and maybe targeting, maybe not targeting specifically to focus on the rookies here in the draft to fill out that defensive back core. But it's going to be kind of tough you have to give Shaw and Heslop at the cornerback spot maybe just a little bit of help, and to get that 5th DB for Tulsa would be spectacular.
All right. And Mike, so Douglas Brown pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they went Douglas Brown instead of maybe Randy Squarebush?
Obviously, it was a personal choice. I mean, Douglas, he's popular in this league. He's very visible. He's going to bring some attention to that Tulsa Desperado squad that, typically they don't get a lot of typically. So, and it could be possibly something he could do behind the scenes for the team that maybe one of the other backs, that they weren't, satisfied with. So that's probably why they went that route.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. And the pick is in. Cameron, who we got?
Ashley, Happy New Year. Oh, my camera's not working. How about that?
There you go.
Happy New Year, Ashley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Was that a behind the scenes look there, Cam?
A little bit.
Glad to finally be here, apparently. All right, let's get the second round started with the 25th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft. The Tulsa Desperados select Brooke Beisel, kicker. Sioux Falls has the 26th pick. You're on the clock.
All right. Congratulations, Brooke. All right. See? So which one of you said that they were probably going to go kicker?
That would be me.
And
so, yeah, in our recruiting of Doug Brown throughout the offseason, we found out that Brooke and Doug are in a relationship. And so that made a lot of sense to me once I realized that Tulsa didn't have a kicker, that they would want to try to honor that bond and relationship. So you'd love to see that. Brooke, actually, her first couple of seasons in the SFLM was a running back and made the move over to kicker, and really made a name for herself as a kicker, and now gets to call up to the pros with the Tulsa Desperados.
Kickers are people too, okay? Remember that. Tyler, what about you? Anything to add?
Yep. Yeah, Brooke Beisel kicked the game-winning field goal in one of those semifinal matches only a few days ago, a week ago. And what she is known for is accuracy. The one thing that she has been known for since switching over from the halfback spot, where she maybe had to be a little bit creative, she's able to be more precise and accurate as a kicker. And just using her leg, Bazooka Beisel is fantastic for her. Good pickup from Tulsa. They got two of the best people in the SFLM in this draft. And congratulations to Brooke and congratulations to Doug.
Indeed. Now we're going to slide on over to the 26th pick of the draft, and that will be Sioux Falls. Now, Sioux Falls needs 6 players. Mike, they could go tight end. They could go O-lineman. They could go defensive end. They can even go linebacker. And they also need a kicker and a punter. Where do you think they're going to go with this pick?
Well, first of all, addressing Sioux Falls, congratulations to my man, G.P. Wells. He really paid his dues in the minors, 3 seasons down there in Memphis, showed his patience and showed his perseverance that, hey, he really wanted to be a part of the league. And hey, congratulations to him getting picked by Sioux Falls yesterday. Yeah, Ashley, this roster is wide open. As you mentioned, they have 6 slots to fill right now. They could go O-line possibly. Looking at their roster right now, they have 4 wide receivers, no tight ends. It's just kind of difficult to, figure out what direction Sioux Falls wants to go in far as offensively right now. They did, like I said, they addressed running back yesterday. The defensive backfield looks pretty solid. Looks like they probably need to address the linebacker core. So maybe they'll go that route to strengthen that defense a little bit more.
Okay, good stuff. Steven, what are your thoughts?
if Sioux Falls is going to have a tight end on their roster, I think the time is now to try to go out and get that tight end on their team. Caesar Ackerman value-wise is up there, and in terms of starting, could definitely fill in a starting position as a rookie right away with that kind of value. And so I think Sioux Falls can't wait too long if they do want to have a tight end within their personnel groupings. And so if I was in their front office, that would be the way that I'm looking.
Okay, got it. Tyler, what are your thoughts on it?
Going down the stretch for Sioux Falls, last 2 seasons ideally have not gone the way for the Sparrows. Just hasn't been their luck of the draw. We've known Sioux Falls for a long time to have a very strong defense, and while the defense played better, much better than season 16, the offense still faltered with they were trying to go a run first power attack like they have done throughout their entire franchise history, but it just hasn't worked. Losing Colin Hart in the offseason to Louisiana, that's a huge blow to their identity. Now they have GP Wells, a speedy back instead of more of a power back like Colin Hart is. It's a little bit of a different philosophy. So if they're going speed, I think, now this is a very, very much maybe out there, but they might go 5 wide receivers a lot more than we think, because what they tried to do and the last half of the season here in season 17, they tried to air the ball out a little bit more, get Tyree throwing the football. So I think it wouldn't be too far-fetched to maybe forgo the tight end spot and go to a 5 wide set. That way, all your wide receivers that are out there on the field can help in the blocking department in swing passes to help GP Wells maybe get further up the field with his speed. So that's my idea. Maybe this is where Savage goes.
And I was just getting ready to say that there are a lot of good wide receivers still left, like Michael Savage, David Gears, Nick Lockett. But we're going to ready to figure out who they selected right now. The pick is in. Cameron, who do you got?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 26th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Sioux Falls Sparrows select Moose Mitchell, offensive line. Sioux Falls has the next pick via Fort Worth. You are still on the clock.
All right. So they went O-lineman, guys. And that's very important, to get the quarterback the protection that they need. What are your thoughts on that? Steven?
Yeah, I love it. I love that the Sioux Falls went ahead and invested in the trenches, invested in their front 5, and going to help the rookie running back GP Wells establish the running game. Right, Julian Tyree, a veteran in the league, no stranger to pressure in his face. So I think Tyree can operate under those kinds of conditions. But really, I think this is a move to help get GP Wells going as a rookie back. Even with all that value, it's imperative to have some blocking up front whenever teams are investing so heavily in their defensive lines across the league. So. Great move by Sioux Falls. Now back-to-back picks, though, Ashley. It'd be really interesting to see. I think this could be a pick that kind of maybe reveals their hand a little bit more on how they're trying to build their team. We'll see how Sioux Falls will go with this one.
Indeed. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, great pick. 4 wide receivers, rookie running back. You need someone up front to help open those holes for them. And then with the 4 wide receivers, that indicates that, hey, these guys are going to be dropping back quite a bit. So the quarterback needs a little bit of protection to get that ball out. And they have a fullback on the roster as well. So a solid pick from them. But one thing about Sioux Falls that they did kind of pivot last season, as they did come out, guns a-blazing, slinging the ball all over the place a little bit. But they kind of shifted gears toward the end of the season last season and did more of a balanced attack, which I thought favored them a little bit. They did look a little better coming down the stretch last season, but this O-line pick will definitely help in balancing what they would probably want to do coming out in season 18.
Okay, so Tyler, with the 27th pick of the draft, do you think they're going to go with that wide receiver or tight end that we spoke of earlier?
I think so, and I completely agree with going with an O-lineman, especially since they lost their 2 O-linemen from season 17 in the offseason. So a good pickup to go ahead and grab their guy in Moose Mitchell. Again, we're down an O-lineman at the draft. I believe Mitchell Winters, I believe it was his name, decided to hang up his cleats after the SFLM and after round 1 yesterday. So unfortunate to see him go. Moose Mitchell gets the tap up for Sioux Falls. And yeah, I think they have to build their O-line. Either they're going to, just double up on O-lineman here with this next pick, or they go and pick up a tight end, or they pick up a wide receiver.
And you still have a few good like tight ends. Caesar Ackerman is still out there. DJ Bandit, Dusty Rorick is still out there. Kyle Storm for the tight ends. Again, Mike Savage, David Gears, Nick Lockett still out there. Zachary Patterson, Charlie Baker. So they have a plethora of people to choose from. It's just about who is going to fit their salary cap for one, and who they feel is going to be a good fit for their locker room. So Mike St. Green, since you like wide receivers, if they had to go wide receiver, who would you think that they would be picking?
Well, Mike Savage, as previously mentioned by you guys, that would be a solid pick. He's top on the board right now, but what's starting to come into play now, as also has been mentioned, is the cap situation. You got to get full value out of these guys. And to me, 4 wide receivers already on the roster. And let's say if you did take a Mike Savage and try to figure out how to fit everybody else in your future picks, around him, as far as cap value goes. Now you're looking at a high value receiver. Are you going to get the full value from him running a 5 wide or 4 wide set? So it would make sense from obviously the best wide receiver left on the board standpoint, but in this situation, cap situation considered and position already loaded at this point, I wouldn't recommend it, and I'd be surprised if we did see that.
So, Steven, we haven't focused a lot on the offensive line. So, why do you think they could go defense here? I mean, because
absolutely,
we got a lot of good
absolutely,
linebackers.
they could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have an opening, an available position at defensive end that they could definitely elect to move. They could elect to draft here, and so there's some probability that they could go defense here, but I still think that there's enough position flex, the position scarcity to me is at tight end. I really think that if they want a tight end, that they need to go draft it now. If you want the wide receiver, I think you can wait. If you're going to need that defensive end. So I think, for me, if I was in the front office, knowing what I know about how traditionally Sioux Falls builds, I think that they're looking at tight end or defensive end here.
Okay, gotcha. And Tyler, linebackers. I believe Tazzy is still on there. Tazzy's still on the board. They could probably.
I believe you're correct. Tazzy Blackwell's still on the board. We saw another Blackwell come off the board in Diamond Blackwell earlier in the first round. So that'd be a fantastic pickup, especially to go alongside Nick Fargo on the left or the right side. That's another great person to learn from, Nick Fargo, especially at the linebacking position. But probably my favorite linebacker in this draft so far was Bogey Barr, but is Forrest Dalton. I loved the way that Dalton played in the semifinal game against Annapolis. I loved how he played in the championship against Madison. He has a very knack for the football. He loves to chase down the running back, and Forrest Dalton, to me, makes the most sense for a Sioux Falls defense that loves to stop the run.
I also like Aaron Gooden. Covering the SFLM, he was one of the top people that were making plays. I mean, his tackles, he was averaging about 15. Sometimes I think he had one game where he had 20 tackles.
Yeah, broke the single game SFLM record. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's for me, I'm wondering why people like that are still on the board. Why do you think?
If you're going to kick that one to me, I mean, it comes down to how teams view the draft boards, how teams view the what I like to call the marketplace. So I mentioned it earlier about position scarcity. If there is enough value at other positions, it may kind of force your hand into going out and drafting somebody now. And so, that's kind of how I feel about that. It's just sometimes you have to make a tough decision based on the landscape and the marketplace of how, what you need to build in terms of how your personnel groupings are going to look and how much cap space you have. And so, sometimes it kind of pushes you into making some tougher decisions than maybe you would like.
Mike, go ahead, Tyler.
Sorry, I can elaborate a little bit more on that. I've heard from a couple different GMs that they draft people so that they can help out their organization as well. So there are people in the league that are just there for their player, and that's it, and that's totally fine. there are some teams and some ownership groups that want to draft you not just for your player, but who you are off the field as well. So if you do stats, you do content for the league or for the team, that is going to put you higher up in some teams' draft boards because you're able to, manufacture and able to make something more than just be a player. Both ways to do it are good in this league, but it depends on the team itself. That if you have some of those, nice qualities, nice extras, if you will, that's gonna give a almost a green light in some ownership war rooms.
Fantastic. Great synopsis. And the pick is in. Let's see who Sioux Falls decided to go with. Cam?
With the 27th pick of the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Sioux Falls Sparrows select Jakhory Dobbins, defensive tackle. DC is on the clock with the 28th pick.
All right. They went defensive tackle. Congratulations, Corey. Mike, what do you think about that pick?
Oh, solid pick. I mean, they saw a need there, defensive tackle. Saw a guy that they could get full value for, and great pick for them, and going to strengthen that already solid Sioux Falls defense.
Indeed. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Another Lexington minor goes off the board. We take a look at some of his highlights. He's able to break up the interior of that offensive line. Let's take a look at his game, regrettably, against the Salt Lake City Rustlers, but the team that I help coach. But he's able to just get in there from the defensive end spot. We'll see what he's able to do from a defensive tackle standpoint, which is a different type of mindset. But he's able to get to the quarterback in a hurry rather quickly.
All right, and Steven.
Yeah, really loving the game film there. Using his leverage there, coming off the edge, getting underneath the tackle, had shown really great strength, and so I think that might work out really well for Sioux Falls, transitioning him into the inside, being strong enough to maybe shed the guard or the center, and apply pressure is a really great tool. I know at Fort Worth we love to generate pressure up the middle. We appreciate when our defensive tackle gets all the sacks, and so it says something whenever you got a big body in the middle that can clog things up.
Indeed. Next up, we have the DC Dragons on the clock, and they are in need of 6 players. Now, they had a really great pickup first round with Declan O'Rourke, linebacker. So I'm wondering, Tyler, where do you think that they're going to go with this? Because they have a lot of needs to fill.
A lot of needs and a lot of options, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Needs, linebacker, corner, defensive end, safety, maybe that nickel back, and an offensive line. Offensive line now are going to be really, really scarce to come by with all the true offensive linemen off the board. Though some defensive linemen are able to transfer over to the offensive line if both team and player both agree to that. But with that being said, their offense looks pretty solid. I still like Mike Churchill, Josh Gill, and Jeff Banfield wide receiver. I don't see them coming up and picking a 4th wide receiver at this point. They got the doctor, Lauren Prococo, at tight end in free agency. They got Kappa Jones at strong safety in free agency, a solid pickup at safety. So where do they go? I think they got to go their 5th DB. I think they got to pick up their nickel back. And to me, some of the best players on the board at that spot range anywhere from Terrence Pearson, who I've really liked over in Ottawa. Jerry D. Gahn is over there in Annapolis, top spot in the free safety category. And Frankie Custer from my Salt Lake City Rustlers over there sitting at the top of the board at strong safety. So 3 top picks. But we still have seen a couple people go at that spot. Stuart Zomelia went to Jacksonville, if I remember correctly, and Adrian Blaine went from Madison out the strong safety spot. So it goes to show you that just because you have the value, there are people out there that are making things happen in other ways and maybe coming up with a good interview or two, or having those external qualities that people are looking for. Not to say those people don't, but those teams really liked Zomelia and Blaine over the other backs.
Gotcha. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as Tyler's mentioned, personalities and people, they matter. The things that you can contribute to a team, whether it's media or scouting or something along that line, all those things matter at the end of the day. I mean, a team, they definitely have to pick according to their needs to a certain extent, but they can, get around that in some cases if they feel like another person or position at a different position of that may not be of great need can provide something to the team that someone else probably is not, willing to do at this time. But overall, just looking at position of need, one place I think that DC can probably going to look at is addressing the defensive end spot to round out that defensive line and help strengthen that defense that they definitely need some more help on right now. As Tyler mentioned, the nickelback spot, they could all, they drafted linebacker yesterday, but they could go ahead and fill another linebacker spot right here. But in talking about that balance and balancing the defense, the only thing missing right now on that line is the defensive end.
All right, got it. And we're going to find out who they have right now. The pick is in. Cameron, who do they pick?
What? Are you kidding me right now? Are we gonna do this today all day?
No.
Oh my goodness!
All right.
It's all your fault. Somebody.
That's unfair.
I'm trying to figure out who will be least mad for me doing that. And I looked up at the panel and I thought, oh, everybody's going to be mad, so that's not good.
This is not a panel you want to mess with. And
in
your moment of panic, you tried to blame somebody here. That's not fair.
It's your fault, Eddie. Dang it. With the 28th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the DC Dragons select Daryl Bullock, cornerback. Jacksonville is on the clock with the 29th pick.
All right. Congratulations, Daryl Bullock. So, Steven, what did you think about this cornerback pick?
Yeah, I actually got a message right before the pick came in from the GM of the DC Dragons, Stephen Mullinex, and he said, Daryl Bullock is a guy that wants to really wants to win. He really loves the DC Dragons, and he was willing to do anything to be here. So, much like Tyler and Mike have been hinting at, some front office groups, they really value that, how much you're willing to contribute, how much, how passionate are you about their team. Of course, in the draft process, it's hard to, make sure that those things can all happen. But, one season contracts, those kinds of things definitely keep you on the boards of teams in the future. And so, DC showing here, hey, we value those kinds of loyalties and allegiances. And it lands Daryl Bullock in a cornerback position for the Dragons. Phenomenal.
Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Another minor goes off the board. We saw Corey Dobbins go to Sioux Falls. Now we see Daryl Bullock go to DC, and I love the fact that Mullinex is out there. Great GM, fantastic understudy to Destro and company over there in DC. They have really been a resurgent force since coming back into the league a couple seasons ago. And one thing that we have seen through the last 2 seasons, especially with a very young team, their first season, is they love to build up their players. We saw how much improved they were last season. They are on the right track, and Daryl Bullock going to DC, he is going to become a star at the next level.
Phenomenal. Now, Mike, we're going to the 29th pick of the draft, which is your old team, Jacksonville Kings. Now, tell me, where do you think they're going to go?
Jacksonville Kings, see the jersey in the background.
Still got it. Nostalgic, huh? I know. Now,
look,
they had a really good pick.
First of all, I didn't know I was going to be on here with an insider. He's getting inside information, and he knows who's married to who and dating who, and he's getting the cornerback pick ahead of time. I didn't know Steven knew all this stuff. But
well,
anyway.
You got the hookup too. You got the hookup with the Kings right now. So tell me who they gonna get. Come on, tell us.
Well, last draft I was on second round. Look at Mike. Hey, Mike off. Last year I was on, and oh wow,
been Punisher today.
But every time I said they can't possibly go offensive lineman, they went offensive lineman. They only have like 7 on the roster right now. They have other needs at corner and linebacker, just as they did last season. But I'm going to predict O lineman. They're going to convert a D lineman to O lineman to pick another O lineman. Why not?
Okay.
I give up on what they're going to do. I tried all last season, and they only picked 5 offensive linemen.
Gotcha. Now they had a really good pickup with Stuart Zomelia as a strong safety position. So they could definitely use a little bit of help. I could even see them going fullback. Tyler, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Jacksonville kind of confuses me, especially with the idea of Mike All switching from DC to Marvel over the past couple of days. So you never know what Mike All is thinking. And I'm surprised that Mike All has stayed in one place since round one. That's a shocker as well. So fullback is definitely a spot to help out Jared Wells and company. Offensive lineman, they've got the Bleeker twins over there on offensive line and Brian Fennick. I don't think they're going to add on a number 4 yet. What we're probably looking at is a fullback spot or a 5th defensive back. I think that's probably where they're going. Drafting Zomelia in the first round, they're probably headed right back there.
All right, and we're going to find out who they have. The pick is in. Cameron, who do we have?
With the 29th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Jacksonville Kings select Buster Johnson, defensive tackle. Denver, you're on the clock. Pick 30.
All right, Buster, congratulations. All right, so anybody see that coming on the panel?
Well, just looking at the roster, Ashley, it doesn't surprise me. That was definitely a position of need. But hey, and congratulations to Buster. But man, you're replacing a Hall of Famer that went over to Arizona in the offseason. Huge shoes to fill over there. Replacing Hunter Norwood. But man, congratulations. You're going to a great organization, great team, and good luck to you. Good luck to you on your SFL career.
All right, Stephen, you were going to add to that?
Yeah, 6'1", 325. That's a big body there in the middle, and that was going to be. Mike pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. Big shoes to fill with Hunter Norwood leaving for Arizona, but it's a new opportunity for Buster Johnson to get in there and really make his legacy in the league. And so I think that he's got a great opportunity there. There's a lot of history on the defensive line in Jacksonville, so I think Buster Johnson is going to be that new wave for the Kings.
All right, awesome. And Tyler, what are your thoughts?
When you're comparing Buster Johnson to Odette Boudreau, the two true defensive tackles, you look at the pass rush. Buster Johnson, statistically has the better jump on the pass, where compared to run covers, that's where he's going to have to, work on when he gets to Jacksonville. But that's something that he should have no problem with, especially with Mike All there at the general manager spot. He'll work him up, and eventually, not saying probably this first season, but eventually Buster Johnson should be around the same caliber as Hunter Norwood.
Got it. All right, now we're sliding on over to Denver with their 30th pick of the draft, and they picked up an old lineman, Randy Fatts, the third. Great pick, if I may say so myself. Spoke to him, fantastic guy. But they are in need of 3 players still. They could go, well, they have 3 wide receivers already, so I doubt they go there. They could go with the second tight end. They could add to the linebacker positions, or maybe even go punter. So, Mike, where do you think they're going to go with their pick?
Well, really, the floor is open for these guys. They could go in many different directions right here. They could probably address tight end, a second tight end spot. And if it's an O lineman out there that may, want to convert over, D lineman that wants to convert to O line, maybe they can address that and shore up that line. They definitely like to do that. They like to be strong up front on both sides of the ball. They're looking strong right now. D tackle, D end. The only position of possible need would maybe address the a third linebacker spot, but it wouldn't surprise me too much if they went O line again this pick.
Oh, okay. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Well, the one thing that jumps out to me, Ashley, is the wide receiving spot. Eric Price had a decent rookie season. They got Bailey O'Shaughnessy, who's now going to have a year under his belt as well at the running back spot. We're going to have to see. Denver had kind of an off year, wasn't able to make as much noise, especially after coming off a championship. So we're going to see, I think we're going to see some more help on the offense, maybe another offensive lineman. But I could see Denver going a 4th wide receiver or the second tight end spot here just to give Eric Price another safety valve to throw to.
Got it. And then probably had something to do with Adam Wiseman taking over from Jeremy Vega, getting your feet wet, kind of getting used to everything, even though he is a coach in the SFLM. It's a little different beast when you're coming over to the majors. So I think that they got a good thing going. I still have haunting memories of what was walk-off field goals and things like that. So but we're going to see where they're going to go right now. The pick is in. Cameron, where they got?
Thank you, Ashley. With the 30th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Denver Nightwings select Brian Murphy, tight end. San Diego's on the clock with the 31st pick.
All right. Congratulations, Brian Murphy. All right. So, tight end. Steven, what do you think about that?
I think that actually makes a lot of sense if you consider the cap space that Denver has remaining. Before that pick, they were looking at basically a 60-point player value average to move out through the rest of the draft if you factor in all three of their picks. So I felt like, Mike was maybe hitting it right on the head. A O lineman, a punter, or a D lineman, or maybe a linebacker you could get at those kinds of values. So it's good to see a tight end go. I think Denver really likes to use those kinds of formations to get their running back Bailey O'Shaughnessy going. And so, like Mike said, they want to be really strong up front, and Denver did a really good job solidifying their trenches.
So, Mike, you were right, huh?
Well, I'm doing my best, Eddie, trying to do my best Eddie Gage impersonation up here to take his spot today. But yeah, these guys, that's their history. They want to be strong up front, and they want to continue that. They had a couple of retirements up front, and that it makes sense for them to replace those guys. And you mentioned Adam Wiseman in his first season last season. I was really impressed with him. He did a great job, but he the shoes he had to fill coaching wise, and they had a lot of spots to fill offensively. They had to take time to let those rookies come up into speed and get progressed up. And then we saw Denver make a little a move towards the end of the season last season. They got a couple of wins under their belt. O'Shaughnessy started looking a whole lot better. So I expect these guys to hit the ground running this season.
Indeed. So Tyler, with the 31st pick of the draft, the San Diego Mavericks, your old team, picked up Lottie Lou, who's a wide receiver, first round, and that was a great pick. Talked to him too, very good guy, very energetic. Think he's going to be a great fit for that locker room. But they're in need of 4 more players, one of which is a quarterback. They could also use an offensive lineman. They could use a kicker or a punter, strong safety. Where do you think they go with their pick?
Well, I don't think they're going to draft their quarterback of the future just yet. If it reminds me correctly, I think Stephen Hacker and his crew over there went with Johnny Reno in the first round. And so the only other team that truly needs a quarterback is San Diego. And so there's no pressure for San Diego to get their guy just yet. We'll probably see them pass on grabbing their quarterback until maybe the 3rd or 4th round. San Diego came into the free agency spell, only had 10 guys re-sign with the club, though they had a lot of great free agent acquisitions. Bill Cherry comes in at tight end. Axel Raven, of course, jumps into San Diego. He's got a good slot there in San Diego as well. A couple other, Tom Krieg goes over to San Diego, another fantastic pickup from Las Vegas. So San Diego did really well, I think. One of the best teams to work out of the free agency hole that they had dug themselves. And then you mentioned Lottie Lou comes in, wide receiver, first round. Now where do they go? They have enough wide receivers. They're not paying any more, I don't think. They're probably not going 5 wide. They have plenty of defensive backs. The only true hole I see right now on the roster is defensive tackle, so maybe this is where Odette Boudreau comes off the board.
Okay. Mike Sangreen, do you agree?
Well, I do agree with the fact that San Diego right now, no pressure, no hurry to address the quarterback situation. I think we're going to see that further down the line in probably in round 4, kind of like what Denver did with Bailey O'Shaughnessy last season, last pick in the draft. But great player, but they were the only team picking running back last season. So no rush there. What I do see right here, considering that they do have so many spots to fill and they do have to be careful with the cap situation, why not go get a position of need? And so I'm thinking kicker right here. Go ahead and get a position of some decent, value for that particular spot. It addresses a need that most teams kind of envy having when you don't have a contract kicker. I can see them going that route.
Okay. Stephen, what about you?
Yeah, Mike brought it up, and so I went ahead and tried to crunch a little bit of cap numbers, and I think a kicker would fit in perfectly for them right here. Brooke Beisel off the board, but Jordan Bradshaw, Alec Finley, both right at about 68 cap value, which is right at the average that San Diego needs. So I think a kicker would be a home run for them. They could pretty much have their choice at the board and get who they like, and so I think that's kicker makes a lot of sense here for the Mavericks.
Okay. Another area they could probably go with is the strong safety position, perhaps. They could also go cornerback, but we're getting ready to find out who they chose right now. The pick is in. Cam, who do we have?
We have another frozen camera. That's just what today's about. I don't know.
Well, I guess we know what we're getting you for next Christmas.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I should have. Seen that coming. I don't know. Anyway, with the 31st pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the San Diego Mavericks select Alec Finley, kicker. 32nd pick. That's Houston. You're on the clock, and it's something about that upper right-hand corner. All the predictions flying in. Unbelievable.
Hey, man. I only do what I do.
Oh, here we go. So give him a little inch, a little bit. We're going to run with it. You might as well go ahead and tell us why were you right this time?
Well, because I'm MSG. But anyway, it was just obvious position of need. They definitely don't have to worry about the quarterback position right now. They're going to get their spotlight, and they're going to spotlight them later in the draft. But they had a kicker in the first season of existence, and last year I don't believe they had a rostered kicker. So go ahead and get that need. The roster otherwise looks pretty solid. So go ahead and address that need before the kicker's all gone. If someone picks up that position and you can't get it later on, so go ahead and get that out of the way right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Now 2 out of the 5 true kickers are off the board. Brooke Beisel, Alec Finley, at the top of that list, and for a team looking to build on a very strong finish, winning 3 of their last 5. Bringing in a championship kicker is probably the right way to do it. So Alec Finley joins the Mavericks in San Diego, and we'll see if he kicks one through to maybe win them a couple more games this season.
Indeed. Now, Stephen, so Houston is on the clock with a 32nd pick, and they chose Brad Jones. Great selection with the running back position. So they only have one more pick left. Who do you think that they will go for? The positions that they have open, they could go O-lineman, but they already have 2. They could pick up another cornerback. They could pick up a strong safety, or even a punter. Where do you think it's going to go?
With how much cap Houston has available, they're going to have to either restructure or they're going to need to just fill in with the punter here. Which if Florida is any indication of what kind of success a punter can bring you when you're trying to pin another team deep in their own territory, I don't think Houston should bat an eye at trying to get a punter. If they're happy with their cap and how everything is lining up right now, you could easily readjust and get a punter in there, and the rest of your team is looking really solid.
Indeed. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Hacker, I tend to agree with you, but if you're going to, no matter what, the lowest player on the board is the punter, and that's 42 points you have to pay out Jakhory Ray from Memphis. And even that's going to be hitting over cap. So who do you restructure? It wouldn't be that bad of a restructure, but who do you take it off from? Does DR Sim take a pay cut? Does who else takes a pay cut? Does Dave Burr, the second-year quarterback, take a pay cut? He's one of the lowest rated quarterbacks in the league. You're probably not taking any from him, and you don't want to take any from your biggest playmaker. Maybe you take some away from, I don't know, maybe Kyle Finnemore, but that doesn't make any sense as the number 2 wide receiver. I don't really see where you cut. So this is going to be a very tough decision for Houston, no matter what.
I think if you're Houston, you have a tough it is a tough conversation, but it is a conversation that needs to be had. But you have to go and you talk to DR Sim, which is an owner player, but you also have to talk to Brad Jones. 120 is a terrific value for a running back, but it is not a value that you have to have. If DeMond and Brad Jones are comfortable with that value and how everything works out, totally fine. But I think that that's where I would start if I was in the front office of Houston. I would start with either Brad Jones or DR Sim.
Okay, Mike, what about you?
Well, here's one conversation that has to be had also. I'm not sure if there's a actual punter left in the draft, but if you're one of the kickers, can you convince them to go over to punter? That's one conversation you have to have. But also at another position, you could possibly see them bulking up that offensive line even more, even though it won't be the full value, but we may see our first two-way contract if they didn't, get an opportunity to renegotiate anybody. So we may see linemen say, hey, I want to be in the league, and if you guys, want to pick me, I'll come over and take a two-way contract and sign that way.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, because Houston, had the potential to go really far last season. So I'm thinking if they got a little bit more help on the O-line to provide that extra protection for David Burr, I think that they would, they could fare well with that. But we're getting ready to find out right now. The pick is in. Cam, who do we have?
With the 32nd pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Houston Hyenas select Jakhory Ray, punter. Portland is on the clock with the 33rd selection.
All right, everybody get a point. Everybody get a point. So you guys
it was a great pick value-wise. I mean, it made sense because just looking at their roster. I mean, that's the only spot they really needed to round out, and they got the full value for it. So great pick from Houston. And the other thing I had to point out, we knew DRCM wasn't taking a pay cut. So great pick.
You can say that. I can't say that.
All right, Tyler, what are your final thoughts on this pick?
Just like Hacker said, I'm gonna steal Hacker's thunder here, but just look at Florida and how they're able to win games just based on special teams plays. And Jakhory Ray's going to come out of Houston, add another little twist to the tail when you play Houston. It's a great pickup for the value, and you don't have to restructure too many. You can keep Brad Jones at a very nice, healthy level. He's going to come in and immediately act like a veteran day one, and this just means nothing but good things for Houston. Look for Houston to start making noise. That's their final pick of the draft, and I think they've wrapped up their offseason rather nicely.
Indeed. Now, Portland has the 33rd pick of the draft. They are in need of two players, but they did have a fantastic pickup with Mr. Israel Adams, wide receiver for the Memphis River Runners. Well, he was. Now he's over in Portland. So, guys, where do you guys think that he's going to go, or the decision is going to be? Tyler?
Well, if I know the Boats as well as I do for being in their division my first season, the Boats have a tendency to, especially with Art Vanderlei in charge of last season, the defense gotten a little bit better. The offense was hit or miss. If they played about their same level of competition, they were winning. They finished the season 6-6. If they played competition that we've known to be really good teams in the past, they weren't as good. The offense just wasn't able to march down the field as effectively as they played some of the teams that were right in the mix with them. So what they need to do is, now that they got Israel Adams a wide receiver, I see them picking another wide receiver at this spot. I think Mike Savage here makes a good amount of sense. If they don't go Mike Savage, they're probably going in a different direction. Probably in a different part of the park. I think would probably be a good pick would be Zachary Patton. He made a fantastic diving catch in the semifinal versus Annapolis. I think he would be a good fit for Portland.
An Art Vanderlei catch. I always remember that, huh? So, Steven, actually, I'm gonna go to Mike real quick. Why not go offensive line here?
I don't think they had offensive line last season, and Ezekiel Love had one of the better seasons in league history last season. So would it surprise me? No. I mean, that's one position that obviously stands out, a possible need right here for Portland. If they had someone there that they liked and maybe going to contribute to the team, as they would want. But I can see Tyler's point. I can see a third receiver. I don't know if they would go with a high value as a Savage at this point. Maybe if they want to pick up a fourth wide receiver, it would be someone of lesser value that they could, fit right in and would give them a value more than, let's say, a generic would, let's say, as a fourth wide receiver. So I could possibly see that route, but not a high value wide receiver because of the pick yesterday. I'm sorry, a couple of days ago of Adams. Is really no need to address the high value receiver and round out the core like that. That's why I can see them possibly going for a lower value guy like a Cali Blow or someone along those lines.
Okay, Steven, what about a second tight end? Do you think that'd be a good look for Portland?
I don't know if second tight end is in the cards for Portland or not. What I think, just based off their cap available, would be that I think a wide receiver offensive lineman is the move here. But I actually think that they're going to try to find a defensive lineman that can move to offensive lineman first. That would probably be the direction I would go if I was in their position. So I think that offensive lineman is the move here. And then whatever value they have left in terms of cap, they're going to try to fill that with a wide receiver with their remaining pick.
I agree with you on that, Stephen. Offensive lineman seems like the best way to go. But we get ready to find out right now. The pick is in. Cam, who did Portland choose?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 33rd pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the panel is on fire. The Portland Fleet select Jaden Taylor, offensive line, transferring from defensive line. Lone Stars on the clock. After this 2-minute break, you're watching the SFL Rookie Draft on Twitch.
All right, and we are back. So we are back with the 34th pick from the Lone Star Glory, and they only need one player. They did go linebacker for their last pick with Bogey Barr. Congratulations on that, Bogey. But I'm wondering, Tyler, where do you think that they're going to go with their last pick? Because they don't really have enough. I mean, they have 59 in cap space. So where do you think they're going to go with that pick?
Well, they wouldn't leave a fullback spot open if Sudanukai was coming back, and we all know that's not going to be the case. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that they have their guy, they have their fullback in mind, and right now the only two that are still on the board are Mateo Bravado and Scott Powell. And I think they're going to go Scott Powell here on this one.
I can see why, because it is right under that cap. But Steven, do you see them going anywhere else?
No, I think, cap wise, that move makes a lot of sense. Special teams, they already have rounded out. I mean, they could maybe look to go with a defensive back to try to add a dime back in there. But if anything, the South Division usually likes to be pretty strong, pretty tough in the middle and up front. So I think if, fullback makes a lot of sense for Lone Star here.
Okay. So, Mike, are you in agreement with that? Or you see things differently?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with that because two things have never seen Ike McBride do. We've never seen her run without a fullback, and we've never seen her run without being behind the two Caudells. So one of them switched over to D-line. It's a possibility, but I think they're going fullback just for the record, but it's a possibility if they could get someone to switch over to offensive line to give her two linemen to run behind as she's accustomed to. But with the way that they like to pound the ball, typically, I could see fullback here basically out of a value spot. But, another thing that we are looking at with Lone Star here is they have 4 wide receivers on the roster right now, and 4 talented wide receivers at that. Are they going to change up a little bit and start slinging it around a little bit more? Because Ace Fennick, he's extremely effective in throwing the deep ball and getting it to Soto and Axis and even Deuce. So I could see them, possibly if they can get a switch over, I can see offensive line, but I lean fullback right here.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on the offensive lineman, because you do want to be able to create those lanes for your number one running back, Ike McBride. But they could go with fullback too. I guess it just depends on if they want the protection, or if they want to have another person that'll help get that lane for Ike. But we're going to find out right now because the pick is in. Cam, who do they select?
Thanks, Ashley. Lone Star wanted me to let you know that this person is a veteran that served in the Marine Corps the Marine Corps as an embassy guard, and this man is the 34th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, and he is Mateo Bravado, fullback. Jacksonville from Louisiana is on the clock with the 35th selection.
All right. Thank you for your service, Mateo. Appreciate that. And guys, what do you think? Everybody get a point again. Fullback.
Well, actually, it fits right in with everything Lone Star, right? Veteran laced roster over there. A lot of guys over there that have served the country and served in the military, so he's going to fit right in far as that goes. And of course, then he feels the need of the fullback position. So great pick all the way around for Lone Star. Great locker room for a veteran, former Marine to go into. So great pick all the way around for Lone Star.
All right, and Tyler.
Well, I know Gunny and Dave are going to be happy in that Lone Star locker room. Another crayon muncher to join the fray over there in Lone Star. But with all due respect to Mateo and Lone Star, no, that's a great pickup. He's joined an incredible locker room. I hope to see him and hope to meet him in the SFL Vets channel that we have. Hopefully, you guys can get him into that quickly. Love to meet another veteran and just a fantastic guy. If everything that I've known from Charles and company over in Lone Star, they pick character, they pick great guys. So Mateo joining the fray, that just means that his past precedes him. So congratulations to the glory on getting Bravado.
Indeed. Now, Steven, Jacksonville is back on the clock, and they just took Buster Johnson. Oh, here we go. More changes. Oh, my God.
At least he's staying consistent this time with Marvel. Okay.
I'm just glad he has a shirt on under that jersey every time.
Yeah,
because you never know where that's going to go, right? But, Steven, so they went, Jacksonville went with Buster Johnson, defensive tackle. They also went with the strong safety Stuart Somalia. Where do you think they're going to go with the 5 players that they need?
They have plenty of cap available. I think that, they're looking maybe at special teams here. We've seen 2 kickers come off the board in this round. I don't think Jacksonville wants to be, caught off guard here. There's still plenty of value to be had in that position. That they could go there. I mean, they could maybe look to round out their defensive backfield with either a safety or a corner. There's still some value at cornerback to be had as well as safety. So, Jacksonville with plenty of room to operate, but I think they look towards special teams, if you ask me.
All right. And Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think Steven has a very good point in addressing kicker special teams right here, because they are accustomed to having contract kicker. Anthony Cece was great for this team season 15 and 16, and they didn't have that last season. So yeah, with the kickers, starting to come off the board, I can see them addressing that need, and because kickers are huge for Jacksonville in the past, I can see them addressing that need right here.
Well, we're going to see how accurate you guys are. The pick is in. Cam, who do we have?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 35th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Jacksonville Kings select Jordan Bradshaw, kicker. St. Louis has the 36th pick, and I got to get my lottery numbers from these guys.
Yes, true. I second that. Tyler, what do you think? Everybody was right again, huh?
Bradshaw is a great guy in the locker room. I know that because I was one of his coaches over there in Salt Lake City. Fantastic guy to be around. Jacksonville have another great pickup here in Bradshaw. Accurate kicker, a lot more power to him than accuracy at points. But still, fantastic guy. He's going to do well for Jacksonville.
I agree. Steven?
Yeah, special teams, extremely important. It's the 3 points sometimes when your drive stalls out, but also a very, very underrated, stat line, I guess, is starting field position. When you have a contract kicker, you force the other team's offense to start closer to the 20-yard line as opposed to the 30. And that can be huge for your defense. It can be huge in the field position battle throughout the course of a game. So, I think Jacksonville still looking to create that new identity, but going to the well, so to speak, and some things that we know to work within the SFL. And I think Jacksonville got a great pick there in their kicker.
Indeed. We are sliding on over to St. Louis. Now, St. Louis is in need of 2 players. They took wide receiver Shane Kaufman off the board. So they could go fullback here. They could go with the offensive line. They have an opening for cornerback. They also have an opening in the strong safety department. So, Mike, tell me, where do you think they're going to go with this pick?
Well, St. Louis, they're not strangers to 6 defensive backs. They ran that last season, and typically the defensive backfield is a strong point of the Gladiators. So I can see them rounding out that defensive backfield with someone that could play the nickel or the dime, and I can see them going that route. They're not a stranger to fullback as well. I can see that, but I'm going to lean defensive backfield for St. Louis and go ahead. They had a retirement back there, so why not replace that with a fresh face and a rookie that can come in and help out?
Got it. Tyler, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's going to be difficult for St. Louis, and maybe I have to find the pick and how many knickknacks and gizzits and whatchamabobs in the back of Eagle Mondavi's war room there. It's kind of hard to cipher through everything. But if I know Eagle Mondavi, he's going to try and fill that fullback hole that Bill Cherry left behind. That's going to be one big hole to fill. So I think it's going to be almost a shame for Scott Powell to fall past Sioux Falls or St. Louis in this point. My apologies, because Mondavi in a St. Louis-led Gladiator team by Mondavi without a fullback, it's going to be very interesting to see if it doesn't go to Powell.
And Steven?
The one thing I would say for me, St. Louis has always been really hard to predict because they are a character team. They prefer character over almost everything, over player value. They want to know who you are as a person. So that makes them very, very difficult to try to pin down when it comes to who they're going to draft. So with 2 draft picks available for St. Louis, I have no idea what they're going to do, but fullback does make a lot of sense.
It does. I would say fullback, offensive line, or I can even see them going with another linebacker, perhaps even Tazzy Blackwell. But they're pretty stacked. They're pretty stacked. So they really didn't have too much of a turnover rate. But I will, Tyler. Let me ask you a question. Knowing their record from last season, do you think it would be more beneficial for them to try to convert somebody to go to help them on the offensive line to give them that protection, to give um, Cairo Martinez and Christian Brown that extra protection?
I think it's always worth mentioning and always worth adding to the offensive line in that regard. Their defense was pretty solid. I know that Freeman Peltier, if I'm not mistaken, I think he retired this past season. So getting the secondary all locked up was on their to-do list in the offseason. They picked up a couple of defensive backs. They got David Leathers on free agency. They got five defensive backs. So maybe adding a six to maybe go into a very wide dime package, maybe there's probably only a 3-2-6. So that's probably the best they can do. And maybe add a six defensive back is probably a good way to go for Eagle to try and stop the pass in that regard. But it's a good thing that you brought up offensive line, because giving Christian Brown a little more time to throw in that pocket would be fantastic.
Indeed, it will. And we're getting ready to see where they went right now. The pick is in. Cam, who do we have?
With the 36th pick of the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the St. Louis Gladiators select a brother, Mark Kaufman, cornerback, brother of Shane Kaufman, yesterday's pick. 37th pick, that's you, Los Angeles. You're on the clock.
All right, making it a family affair, huh? I love it. I love it. Mike, did you see that coming?
Well, defensive back, as I mentioned, it doesn't surprise me. We've seen them run six defensive backs before in the past. So this only strengthens a strength for them. They like to shut you down back there. The defensive backfield, they make a lot of plays. Colin Douglas, they make a lot of plays back there. Roger Law, they make plays. So it doesn't surprise me that they went that route. They want to be strong back there and with a solid defense. So great pickup for them. Keep heading into the upward trajectory that they've been in the last couple of seasons. So no surprise at all that they went to defensive backfield.
All right. And Tyler, are you surprised or not?
Not really. Like Mike said, 6 DBs is in their repertoire of the past, and it looks like they're going that way with the retirement of Peltier. It's going to be a lot of holes to fill right away, and they've got their 6 DBs now, and so the ability to stop maybe an explosive Vancouver or someone like Florida in that passing game, or even Baltimore, is now back in their repertoire, and they might just go above 500 this season.
Good stuff. So, Steven, with the 37th pick of the draft, Los Angeles only needs one player. They selected wide receiver Terrence Weary with their last selection. Where do you think they're going to go this time?
I just had to make a comment on Mike. I could hear Mike through my headphones just thinking out loud that when Tyler didn't mention London in those dynamic passing games. So I could just hear Mike too speaking in my headphones. But let's see, Los Angeles, I think, man, the offensive line, they've got locked down. I mean, they could maybe try to get a second defensive tackle to try to generate some pressure. I mean, they got 3 linebackers. They've got 5 defensive backs. So I think they're pretty locked down. Their special teams is locked down. I think, maybe it could be defensive tackle or tight end. I really see those the only available options that would make a lot of sense for them. They're going to have to do a lot of restructuring as well once they make this pick. So cap space not doing any favors for us trying to figure out which way the Lycans are going to go here.
Indeed. Mike, where do you think they're going to go?
Well, I wasn't going to mention receiving or London and greatest receiving core of all time unless someone mentioned it first. But now that y'all brought it up, But anyway, Steven's right on it. Defensive tackle is the only position of need right now for LA. I don't know what the cap situation is for us fitting that in with value. Like I said, two-way contracts are definitely an option right now in the league. Could we possibly see our first backup running back selected? Who knows? I don't. With these 23-man rosters, I mean, it's very interesting how you could possibly build your team. Robert Johnson's a workhorse back. He gets a lot of carries. Maybe a second back right here can, in times of when he comes off the field, maybe a second back can get in there on those long drives and give some quality carries for this team. But being that this is the last roster spot to fill, defensive tackle is a glaring need right there on that line to round that out. Defensive tackle is definitely probably going to be the pick right here.
All right, Tyler.
I have insider information that says this pick is going to surprise some people. They didn't let me know who this insider was or where they're going, but expect a surprise with this pick.
Well, the surprise is now ready. Pick is in. Cam, who did LA choose?
Me. Just kidding. With the 37th pick in the Season 18 SFL Rookie Draft, the Los Angeles Lycans select Tazzy Blackwell, linebacker. Queen City's on the clock with the 38th pick.
Awesome selection. So glad to see Tazzy off the board. One of the leading linebackers. But Steven, what do you think about this pick?
Well, they already have three really good linebackers with good draft value. So to get Tazzy there with 67, and that's a really strong front seven. Now it gives Los Angeles a lot of flexibility. It'll be really interesting, out there on the West Coast. Vancouver likes to go kind of air raid, throw the ball around, but they also have Portland there who likes to run the ball. So I wonder if this is a strategy move for Los Angeles to be able to play against those varying styles of offenses that they have to go up against. So maybe not an every down player in the Los Angeles game plan, but a huge component in their ability to make changes week in and week out. I think it's a fantastic pick.
Fantastic. Tyler, I'm gonna throw it back to you just for a little bit. Kind of got cut off there a little bit.
No, it's all good. I wanted to be short there because I know the pick was coming in, but Tazzy Blackwell fell into the laps of Los Angeles, and I'm sure that Ryan Yosef and company are going to be very happy with Tazzy Blackwell. And this brings to the forefront a change in philosophy that a lot of teams are going to, Ashley. Is teams have started to, 4-3 was pretty much the only defense you saw. You ran 3-4 at your own peril in a lot of the older seasons of the SFL. Now with 4 true linebackers contracted onto the club, 3-4 looks to be maybe the mainstream for Los Angeles.
Good stuff. Now, with the 38th pick of the draft, Queen City needs only one player. They drafted Nathaniel Diggs, linebacker, their last selection. Great pickup as well. They don't have a lot of cap to work with. They have a few selections they could try to fill. They could go defensive tackle. They could go definitely another cornerback maybe. But Mike, where do you see them going?
Well, they definitely like to run the ball. This is a power running team. Signed 2 huge free agent linemen this offseason, Butch Minner, and the other one is slipping my mind right now. Robert Crone. Yeah, they definitely wanted to improve that offensive line in the running game. For Jet Zero to pound the ball at you 30, 35 times a game for sure. We see a need here also for possibly a defensive tackle, being that they drafted linebacker yesterday, but can they surprise us and go linebacker and look to run a lot of 3-4? But with the division that they're in, with London, DC, and Baltimore, teams that like to air it out a little bit and throw it around, so maybe they can have some flexibility that way. But I think D tackle here. I think they're going to go ahead and fill that need there and go D tackle and try to be strong up front and get a decent pass rush on those same passes that they're going to be seeing all season long over in the north.
Gotcha. And Steven, what about you? They don't have a lot of cap space left, so who do you think they're going to be able to pick up?
It would make a lot of sense to try to find a linebacker out there, maybe try to get recoup some of that value there to make up some of that cap difference that you have. But defensive tackle makes a lot of sense for Queen City here. If they want to go, with maybe a more pass-heavy look and again have some flexibility on offense, they could draft a wide receiver here, but I just don't know how you would make that work with the value. So I think, just naturally looking through it makes sense, a lot of sense to go defensive line here.
All right. Well, we're getting ready to see where they go right now. The pick is in. Kim, who did Queen City select?
I'm telling you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a minute. With the the 38th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Queen City Corsairs select Odette Boudreau, center. We have highlights from her game in the minor league from defensive line. Vegas now has back-to-back picks, starting with pick 39.
All right. Congratulations, Odette Boudreau, wife of Otis Boudreau. So, again, families getting involved in the league is always a good thing. Tyler, what do you think about Odette's performance?
Well, I don't know what's going on in the Queen City war room or the decision to move Odette Boudreau. As we see on screen, she had a phenomenal campaign as a defensive tackle in the interior. Now she has to change mindsets and block. Seeing her tape in the defensive line, personally, I disagree with moving her to center. But then again, Queen City see more of a reason to move her to offensive line here in the pros rather than keep her at defensive line. To me, I think it's a mistake.
Oh, okay. What about you, Steven?
I think that's fair. Everybody can have a differing opinion on how those things go, but ultimately, end of the day, I trust that the front office for BJ Lovelace, a good community member, Chris Comisac, definitely somebody that have personal hand in making sure that he understands the ways around here. So I'm fully confident that they had a conversation with Odette. She was comfortable making that move. I don't doubt that one bit. So good for them to be able to find that offensive line. I think it really shows what they want to do with their offense, which is keep AJ Caswell upright. AJ Caswell is a much better quarterback when he's protected, not throwing under a lot of pressure and able to protect the ball. And then they have Jet Zero, a running back that's really paid his dues, been waiting to kind of be looked at as one of those premier feature backs in the SFL. And I think this move to offensive line for Odette Boudreau is really going to help Queen City get there.
Okay. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Oh, the pick makes tons of sense to me. As I mentioned, they want to pound the ball at you 30, 35 times a game. They signed two offensive linemen in off season. So that tells me you're going to get more of what you saw from Jet Zero all of last season. And I know, Butch personally, just being in a locker room with him, he loves bulldozing people and opening holes. So if you can convince someone to come over and be a part of that offensive line and say, this is what we're going to do, we're just going to dominate people and run over people. I think it's great that she decided to switch over and become a part of the great offensive line and great, bone-crushing offense, if you will.
Live look at Justin residing there, helping to make these hard decisions for Las Vegas. Now, they actually have 5 players that they need right now. They did pick up a tight end in Scott Fowle, which is a great pick. So, Tyler, where do you think that Las Vegas goes from here? Because they do have back-to-back picks.
Well, I think D-line is where they have to go, and they might just double up on it because they got this pick and they got pick 40 after they made that trade with Charleston. So I think, especially with Odette off the board and into the offensive line, which she's a great player, she's a great person. Like I said, I just disagree with the position. That's the only thing I disagree with. Back to Las Vegas. It has to be defensive line here. You got both defensive tackles off the board. We've seen a lot of defensive ends transition to defensive tackles here in this draft. That's probably going to be where they go, except they'll probably keep both defensive ends at their spot because they currently have none. And let's see, they got 2 picks to do it, so we really can't go wrong. We could throw out any number of the last couple remaining defensive linemen: Jabril Curse, Sam Yeager, Anthony Stover. Those are the 3 left on the board. I would personally like to see Yeager come off the board, just because I was one of his coaches there in Salt Lake City, so that he's got maybe more a pull on the old coach's clipboard there. But I think you can't go wrong with any of these guys.
All right, and Mike, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with Tyler here. They have to address the defensive line right here. Two huge, voids right there, defensive end, and I can see them if they're with the back-to-back picks. I can see them addressing that with both picks coming up right here for Vegas.
I mean, they have some really good choices. Jabril Curse is still there. You got Sam Yeager, and I know Tyler mentioned Sam. If they wanted to go linebacker position, they got Golden Dino, Saeed Gore still left on the board, Forrest Dalton, Tyler, which you were speaking of early, Matt Anderson. So it will be very interesting to see what selections that they make with this particular pick, considering that they do have another one coming right up afterwards. But we're actually getting ready to find out in a few minutes. So, Tyler, one more question for you. With their season, how they ended last season, what do you think is going to be the most important pickup that they have besides defense?
Oh, that's a great point. I think they addressed a key need in the tight end spot with Scott Fowle right away in the first round. That's a great pickup for him. I completely agree with that pick. Their offseason was heavily focused on that defensive side of the ball, losing Slyn Shady. They bring in Justin Rasai to fill the hole, not just in the free safety department, but in the general manager role, as we saw earlier. So I think they have made a really good strive to capitalize on the defensive side of the ball in the free agency. We're going to see a couple more defensive pickups. Maybe it's coming in right now at the defensive line spot, but I think they did a real good job so far in the offseason at the defensive end of the football.
All right. And the pick is in. Let's see where they went. Cameron, what you got?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 39th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Las Vegas Fury select Anthony Stover, defensive end. Back on the clock to Vegas with pick 40.
You guys are on fire tonight. Another defensive member off the board.
Yeah, it was just a sensible pick. I mean, it wasn't really difficult to pick that one out. We shouldn't break our arms patting ourselves on the back for that one. And they're more than likely going to go with the same position here with this pick, as we mentioned. It's just a huge need, a huge void right there that was left over there by some of the departures on the defensive side of the ball. So no surprise. And another DN or D tackle incoming with the next pick.
Okay, we're gonna see if you're right about that, Mike. Because I still think that they could go with another offensive person. They could probably try to get a defensive tackle. We're gonna see. Tyler, what about you? Maybe cornerback.
Yeah. I think they have to go with another defensive line. There's only two true linemen left on the board. You can, if I believe Mike and Steven, you know more than I do. You keep more up to date on these things, but I think a linebacker is able to switch to a defensive line, or is that maybe a season or two past?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing to say that you can't move an inside linebacker like Dalton to the defensive end, which I personally think Dalton would make a fantastic defensive end because of his pursuit. But to me and Mike, I think we're right on the nail of the head that Las Vegas is going to have to continue to strengthen the defensive side of the ball, especially when they play Denver in Vice Wars in Week 12. That is a game to watch, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how Las Vegas develops these rookies on the defensive side of the ball so that they're ready to face Denver in Week 12, which could very well be for both clubs maybe a playoff clinching game.
Good point. With Steven, now I see that they traded Charleston for their 40th pick. So they must have felt a need to move up to this to get the back-to-back picks because they felt like maybe someone was going to be off the board around this time.
I think that this was part of their first round trade with Charleston, I believe that that's correct. And so, I think ultimately what they were looking for there was kind of like a cherry on top to that trade. Whenever they made that, so to end up with picks back to back, it kind of gives you a certain amount of comfort, right? And Fort Worth has back to back picks later on in this round, and we kind of felt a level of like comfort in that. Is like, okay, everybody else is going to kind of get their picks, but we're going to get two players, two guys or gals back to back, and so it's a level of comfort that goes with it. And I think that's one of the benefits of making a trade like that, where when you ended up stacking those picks side by side like that. In terms of who I think, if Vegas doesn't go defensive end here, which I feel like they will, they have cap room to bring on a fourth wide receiver. So if they want to continue to roll the dice there in Vegas, gamble and go with the high octane offense, they definitely have the cap space available to go out and get a wide receiver of choice.
So, Mike, with that said, how likely do you think they are going to do that?
Well, go DN.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think it's
either another wide receiver.
I think the percentage of that is very low. Being in this position of need and the scarcity of the players that are left at the position of need, go ahead and address it now with your back-to-back picks instead of taking a chance later on in the third or fourth round.
And that is what they just did it. We have the pick right now. Cameron, who did they pick?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 40th pick of the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Las Vegas Furies select Sam Yeager, defensive end. When we come back, it's Andy Hamilton and Vancouver on the clock with the 41st pick. You're watching the Season 18 SFL rookie draft. We'll be right back.
All right. So we are back with our season 18 rookie draft. So we're back with Vancouver being on the clock. And Vancouver picked up Earl Fields the fourth, the linebacker, with their last pick. So I'm curious to know where they will go. They have the potential to pick up a fullback. They could go with a second tight end. They could possibly go with another free safety or a strong safety. So, Mike, where do you see them going?
The second tight end spot is interesting here. We've seen them do that in the past, but we know Vancouver likes to air it out, of course, quite a bit, even though they do have Robert Redford. But, you have the great Tom Pepper that'll air it out, game in and game out. Could we possibly see a fourth wide receiver go right here to Vancouver? Maybe, find someone that they like and get good value for and see a fourth wide receiver. But offensive side of the ball, someone that can catch the ball, tight end, fourth wide receiver would not surprise me from the Legion right here.
Indeed. I'm sorry. Andy, just that whole whip around thing he does. It gets me every time. Steven, what do you think they're going to go with their pick?
Looking at their defensive backfield, they're pretty full there. I think, there's a high probability that they look for a fourth defensive lineman, maybe go defensive tackle, but, tight end to me makes a lot of sense there too. I think, they had Dan Daly, a really explosive weapon, make an exodus from their offense. And I think that they will be looking to replace that. James Walters is going to step in and take over, no doubts, but I think that they're going to look for somebody that's going to replace James Walters' abilities. And so I think that, tight end is probably coming off the board here.
Good stuff. And Tyler, before I go to you, I will say that I do remember seeing in the Player Needs channel that Andy posted that he was looking for a fullback at one point. Now, whether that still remains the same, I'm not sure. But Scott Powell is the only fullback that is left. So I'm thinking that Scott Powell is going to be picked up with his pick. But Tyler, what say you?
I like your take, Ashley, but what does Andy love to do? He loves to have Tom Pepper heave-ho, throw that football 30-plus yards down the field almost every single play.
That's true.
So what is Andy going to do here with his 22nd spot on his roster? He is going to pick a wide receiver. He is probably going to look at David Gears or Zachary Patton or Nick Lockett, probably any one of those three, but he's going wide receiver here. That's my take.
Okay, and that's true. But I think that Mighty said it best when you have to keep teams on their toes. So just like you and I both know that Tom loves to throw, Andy likes that whole kind of like a West Coast style offense where you're just passing the ball all day, which is great. But if people know that already, they'll be able to prepare for that. So I think you just go with what people are not expecting. And Mike, what are your thoughts on perhaps just going for something, going for a position that no one is expecting?
Well, guess what? Everyone knows what he's going to do, and guess what? They make the playoffs every single season. So, no, they're not going to switch it up and we're going to trick everybody. No, Andy's not going to do that. They're going to do what Vancouver does, and be offensive. They want offensive-minded players on the team. Tyler's right. It's gonna. If they can get a good value at a fourth wide receiver right here, sure. I can definitely see that. And tight end. And since I don't get to talk about London as much, we threw the ball last season, and guess what? We're gonna throw the ball again this season. No big secrets. We're not gonna.
That's misdirection. I don't believe that for a second. That's so much misdirection.
Robert Merrill is going to get less than 500 yards in the upcoming season. You guys are not going to let him touch the football on the ground at all.
We have the greatest receiving core in the league. All
right. Let's move the camera along.
Exactly.
Let's move it along.
So, Steven, quickly, what do you think? Do you agree with everybody else's sentiments?
The cap makes sense. The cap makes sense that they can. And Mike's been thrown into the shadow realm, but the cap makes sense. If Vancouver wants to go wide receiver, they totally can. I think the tight end makes a little more sense. Gives you a little bit of flexibility on your next pick that you have.
Absolutely. And Mike, you better get the ball for expensive as your whole receiving core is. They better get every dollar out of all of you because you're very expensive.
I have new theme music this season and everything. So I'm gonna get the ball just as much as I did last season. I hope. I don't know what's. Don't listen to me, Baltimore. I don't know what we're gonna do this season.
Well, the pick is in. Let's see who Vancouver chose. Cam.
For all the new guys that don't maybe not listen to game day wrap-ups or whatever, and they're like, who is this guy? He wasn't here yesterday. Who is this guy? Mike is such a nice guy, and he's got such a great heart, but he tries to put on this big bravado and all this stuff. It's fake. It's a bunch of – plus his camera was on the fritz. I don't know what was going on. But, hey, Ashley, pat yourself on the back for the unexpected. With the 41st pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Vancouver Legion select Sawyer Stern moved to fullback. Atlanta is on the clock with the 42nd selection.
I got one. You got to expect the unexpected sometimes. And, you got to change it up. As I said, if people know what you're going to do, kind of like with Sioux Falls, people know that they like to run. If you change up, then people don't know what to really expect from you. But, Tyler, what are your thoughts on this pick?
Well, you said Andy was looking for a fullback. He goes ahead and picks a fullback. And, Ashley, you better pat yourself on the back, ma'am, because you have fooled us, and you have been reading Andy Hamilton's mind in a sense, and that's pretty hard to do in this league. So, Sawyer Stern, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's also a Salt Lake City product. So. He's a Lexington. Lexington. My apologies.
Yep.
My apologies. A Lexington product. It's Logan Lee who's the Salt Lake City product, but. Sawyer Stern, fantastic job as job in the semifinal and final. Last couple of games he's played in, and he played very well. He picked up speed right at the end of the season, and interviews with Andy, of course, we all know now, went well, and he goes to Vancouver to join a high-flying offense.
Indeed. Steven, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, attribute-wise, ready to take the move, can definitely handle the transition over to fullback. Sawyer Stern can. 6'2", 225, decent enough speed, going to need to work on the agility and probably a little bit of run blocking to give Robert Redford a little bit of help and maybe a little bit of help with the hands. But, Andy doing a great job, having a vision and what he wants to go after this season, did what it took to go out and recruit and find a player that was willing to play the position whenever all the available prospects were off the board. So Sawyer Stern going to join a very, very high-powered offense there in Vancouver, and we'll be really interested to see how this one works out.
Indeed we will. Now, with the 42nd pick of the draft, Atlanta will select one of three players that they need. They did select linebacker Diamond Blackwell, which is a great pickup. Talk to that gentleman, and he is absolutely amazing. But Mike, I'm wondering, what do you think they're gonna go with this? Because they do have a decent amount of cap space left. They are in need of definitely O-line. They could use a second tight end. I can see them going probably with the cornerback or strong safety.
Well, you know why Mark looks so happy right now? It's shooter's choice. He can pick one. He doesn't have to fill anything. He's got his linebacker yesterday. He's got this assortment of riches on this championship winning roster. So look, he's happy. Look at Dynasty.
We want a hair flip. We want a hair flip.
Dynasty's probably hoping for a lineman or something to help him a little bit, but
that protection.
These guys, shooter's choice. The rich keep getting richer. Wherever they go, they can't go wrong. But in the past, Atlanta has typically been better when they went to a 3 wide receiver set. Now maybe we could see a 4th wide receiver to help out with that receiving core from time to time. With the riches that they have over there, or possibly a second tight end. We saw them do that a couple of seasons ago with Will Todd on the roster. So I'm gonna go with my same thing: 4th wide receiver, second tight end for Atlanta. But whichever way they go, they can't go wrong right here.
All right, Tyler, what are your thoughts? I saw you with admiring the hair flip.
We didn't get one. We didn't get one in round 1. We had to get one here in round 2. That's all I was fighting for. Finally, thank you, Dynasty, for indulging us here on the draft panel. Atlanta, I like Mike's take going wide receiver, tight end. I think the Swarm, they like to swarm. They like to, be more ball hawking in this type of draft. So I think they might be going defensive back here. I think they might pick up a couple players that we all have come to know. We all kind of like. We like Ernest McRae. He's solid guy at the defensive back spot, and just as well in interviews as well. A couple other people that we're possibly looking at. Maybe Terrence Pearson comes off the board here. Let's see who else. Who else could come off the board? But Steven, I know we were talking about another guy. Maybe you can help me out here.
There's quite a few defensive backs that were out there. I had interviewed with King Rashid, who is also a very good, community guy, made some really big plays as the season went on for Annapolis. Ernest McRae was another guy that I interviewed. I was really impressed with my time that I got to talk to him. Looking at the safeties that could maybe fill in. Frank Bernstein had really great offseason. Had a really good showing on fights and insights. I'm not sure. I don't think Michael Lister's been drafted, but he had some really big highlight plays that I saw, and that could be a nice playmaker out there. Dante Grimm, another guy that's made some headlines one way or the other, made some splashes. Using his social media accounts, getting some recognition there. So if Atlanta wanted to go defensive back, there are definitely still plenty of players in the defensive backfield available.
All right. So we are going to find out who Atlanta chose right now. Cam.
Thanks, Ashley. With the 42nd pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Atlanta Swarm select DJ Bandit, tight end. Mexico City's on the clock with the 43rd selection.
All right. Mike is ready to say something. Go ahead, Mike. He's ready.
Hey, like I said, a couple of seasons ago, they went with Will Todd, and they, decided not to go with the three wides. So already having the three wides, why not go back with the expanded rosters? Let's go back to the two tight end look that we attempted then. But now we have the luxury of the expanded roster, and we can also have three wide receivers. So it makes plenty of sense from what they wanted to do. I could have definitely seen them add to the defensive secondary back there. They take great pride in shutting quarterbacks down over there in Atlanta. But this pick, it just seemed kind of obvious to me that, since they've gone down that route before, why not let's try it again?
Indeed. Tyler, was it a great pick for Atlanta?
I think DJ Bandit is a great pickup for Atlanta. Again, we talked again about getting Denver a few picks ago, getting a safety valve for Price to throw to. Now we've got a safety valve for Dynasty to throw to. In a two tight end set, with the expansion in size and rosters, it makes more and more sense to add more weapons to your arsenal. We've seen a couple teams do it already. Now, Atlanta has their second tight end. DJ Bandit fits in perfectly.
Indeed. So, Steven, we have Mexico City on the clock.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and they are in need of 6 players, though, and they do have a lot of wiggle room to pick up who they need. They did go defensive end with Angela Miracat. Happy about that. So where do you think they're going to go with this pick? I mean, they can do wide receiver. They can do defensive tackle, linebacker. They have so many different ways to go.
And I really don't want to rip a Band-Aid off here for Ramos. But, last season in the second round, they drafted a very, very high value wide receiver who's no longer with the team, didn't even make it through the season. And so I wonder if Ramos may be a little hesitant to try to go after a wide receiver here. I mean, he may look to go elsewhere to try to shore up his team. He could use a defensive tackle, could maybe go after a linebacker, needs another defensive back. It could actually use 2 if they wanted to have 2 defensive backs there. So, Ramos, only 2 wide receivers rostered. Mexico City only has 2 wide receivers rostered right now. They could go with a 3rd wide receiver, but I wonder if there's a little bit of a sour taste from last season's draft for Ramos. He may go defense here just to go with what he's really, really good at, in my opinion. He always has a really sharp team offensively and defensively, but when you go into Mexico City, you better be ready for their defense. So I think he's going to look to shore that up.
Absolutely. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I think there's a gang of Meerkats going to Mexico City. I think this is the perfect spot for Derek to get his call and help out Angela as she also transitions to Mexico City. I think it's a foregone conclusion that once Angela came off the board and went to Mexico City, we've seen it with the Kaufmans and a few others tonight, that family ties or familiar or friend or cousin ties, they all come in to the league and they all try and gravitate to one team together. And so I think a gang of Meerkats is going to south of the border.
All right. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, Atlanta and Mark had shooter's choice from luxury and no real need they needed to fill. This is going to be shooter's choice as to they need to fill a lot of spots right here. So who knows which way they may go, but just judging from the way this team operates, pound the ball at you with Phoenix Jones and Ray Bentley coming out of the backfield over there. Obviously throw it to the tight end with Mike Daggs over there. So they're not going to address the offensive side of the ball right here. I think they will get a third wide receiver somewhere down the line, but they're definitely going to address the defensive side with this pick. The defensive line looks like it needs a little help, so I can see them going on the defensive line with this pick.
Yes, definitely. I mean, like we said, we have free safeties, strong safeties, linebacker positions, but we're getting ready to find out right now who Mexico City selected. Cam, what you got?
Thank you, Ashley. With the 43rd pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, Mexico City selects Nick Lockett, wide receiver. Baltimore has the 44th selection.
All right. They went offense. So, Steven, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I love all wide receivers. You can't go wrong picking a wide receiver in my book. So more offense, the better. But so maybe this is a different route that they're going. Maybe Ramos wasn't as affected by last season's guy. Leaving on him as quickly as he did. So hey, this is a new guy, new season. Could be a great pick for them. It's been trust me, it's been some great wide receivers come out of the second round.
Mm-hmm. Steven, what were you going to say?
I think that's, for Nick Lockett to go here, again, I would still doubt that Ramos had a sour taste. So I think that in his recruitment of Nick, I have no doubts that Nick did a great job through his interview process, and that probably alleviated the doubts that Ramos may have had. So I think it's a fantastic pick. I think it's something they needed. The value fits just right into that offense, letting him grow. He'll fill in nicely for them in that slot receiver position. Now Mexico City definitely going to be looking to go defensive the rest of the draft, if you ask me.
I will agree. Tyler, quickly, what are your thoughts before we move on to Baltimore?
I think it's a great pickup. Nick Lockett, one thing that he was known for in the minors is having sure hands. I saw him multiple times on the sideline, able to haul it in on the sideline, keep his toes inbound and haul that football in. Great pickup. Nick Lockett is a fantastic guy.
Indeed. And I see T-Roy, they have a sign talking about we're always listening. Yeah, I bet you are. And now Baltimore actually only needs one more player. They selected tight end John Michael Sudduth with their pick last for the first round. They could go linebacker, maybe another cornerback or free safety. I think King Rashid would be a really good fit for over here. But let's see, Steven, who do you have? What do you have going?
I'm not sure if Baltimore is really on the offensive line, train here or not. So I would, if they have room or if they can find themselves an offensive lineman, that would make sense for them to go. But to me, looking at it cap wise, and what Baltimore is as a team defensively, defensive back would just make them that much more scary. And like you said, King Rashid, if he were to go there, he would easily fit into that defense, easily make big plays when called in heavy passing situations or even in special teams. And having special teams plays, you can't discount how valuable those are for your team. If you can get a block punt throughout the course of your game, or just really good punt or kick coverage, that dime back could offer you that. And if Baltimore goes with King Rashid, I think he would be a phenomenal pick for them here.
All right, Tyler, what about you?
Well, no matter what, the riches are just going to keep on getting richer. I mean, they're the defending champions. They did it with a 20-man roster. They're likely to do it again with a 23-man roster. And picking up John Michael Sudduth at the tight end, adding the 2 tight end sets now for Baltimore. I know Vancouver didn't go with the wide receiver for their 22nd pick. I know for the 23rd and final roster slot for Baltimore, I think we're going to see a 6-man wide receiving core. I think another wide receiver is coming off the board. And how fitting would it be, Mr. Mike St. Green, if another wide receiver came off at your spot, pick number 44 in your draft, my friend. So I think Baltimore is headed in that same vein of picks.
Well, gather around the fireplace, young SFLers. Old Uncle MSG has a story to tell you. You can be the number 44 pick and be one of the greatest players in SFL history. So have no fear. number 44, you're going to be great. No matter who they pick, it could be, I don't know, he could be a guy pick up after everybody. He's going to be the greatest pick up after everybody guy ever picked. But anyway, in all seriousness, yeah, the rich keep getting richer. How do these guys still have picks? I thought they filled out everybody. They have about 30 guys already, but yeah,
Feels like it, right?
Yeah, I could see them definitely going wide receiver. Why not? They throw the ball around a lot. Jack Whitmore, the MVP from last season. Why not get him more weapons to throw to? You know, the teams over there have built up their defensive secondary, so why not get some more offensive weapons to attack the other teams in the north and out east?
Yeah, it was surprising to me when they even had spots to fill on the roster, because usually no one likes to leave. And even though we did get our extensions, the roster is extended and everything, I have a strange feeling they probably won't be in the draft next season because people just don't like to leave when they go to Baltimore. But their pick is in. Let us see who they selected. Cam?
Thanks, Ashley. With the 44th pick in the Season 18 SFL Rookie Draft, the Baltimore Vultures select Enzo Bolt, cornerback, to go with Giovanni, perhaps. Tulsa, 45th
future
pick.
Hall of Famer.
You're on the clock.
Mike just doing everything he can to make that pick 44 just be something.
Future Hall of Famer, guaranteed.
Just go ahead and stamp it. Go ahead and get it tattooed. Mike Ramos has that awesome, Aztec tattoo. Just go at 44, somewhere, just whatever.
Congrats, Enzo. Hall of Fame about 10 seasons from now, buddy. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Enzo. Do you know if they're related though?
It sounds like it's possible. I don't have that information. But a 6'1", 195 cornerback, good speed, good agility. Again, Baltimore very, very dangerous when attacking the pass. So they're great through the air on defense. And Enzo Bolt, again, gonna slide into a nice spot. Hopefully is very comfortable making plays on special teams, because I think that those special teams plays are going to be what keeps Baltimore in the playoffs and making another deep playoff run.
All right, Tyler, what are your thoughts on Enzo?
Enzo Bolt leaves a championship organization to a championship organization. What can't be said about this pick, and especially the last name, Bolt? That comes with the territory. And as we get confirmation, as they have two Bolts. They're good friends over there in chat. Thanks to TM82, I believe that's
T-Roy.
That's T-Roy, yeah.
No, T-Roy. Okay.
TMG82, yeah, it's T-Roy.
Thanks to T-Roy for providing that. So two Bolts on the same team. Ay. Baltimore's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Indeed. And we have Tulsa back on the clock, working their way around. See Dion, my ex-coach over there, making his plans. Now, Tulsa needs 3 players now, and it will be interesting to see where they go. Take a look at their cap. They got a decent amount of cap space, but they do have 3 players to select. So, gentlemen, where do you think they're going to go? I'm going to start with you first, Mike.
Yeah, which way did they go? I'm looking for them now. Which way did they go with the first pick today?
So, they got Douglas Brown. Then they also got Brooke Beisel.
Yeah, they went kicker. So I'm looking at their roster here. Wow, how do they have more picks left? But they addressed special teams the last round. They didn't address defensive tackle yet, so they're going defensive tackle. They have to address the defense this time around.
Okay.
A position they can get some value out of. The defensive line position is starting to thin out a little bit. I don't know if it's an actual defensive tackle left, but they can see if they can convince somebody to move or get one of the better value defensive tackles that's left. So go ahead and address that defensive line and shore that thing up.
Unfortunately, there isn't any more defensive tackles left, so they would probably have to convert somebody. If they do that, Tyler, where do you think they will be going?
It's a toss-up in my head. If they do go the defensive tackle route, they can go corner as well. But if they do go the defensive tackle route, I have a strange feeling that Yambambe Adams is going to maybe be able to transfer over and be that defensive tackle spot. Yambambe was fantastic in getting to the quarterback at the linebacker spot, especially on the interior. So that almost make the most sense in my opinion. As far as corner would go, I think this is possibly where we see Edwin Crow go off the board. But those are my two, on the tip of my tongue, those are the two names I think they might be going with.
Okay. And Steven, what about you?
Yeah, I think, if you wanted to, you could look at what you think is the most scarce position, which is going to be defensive tackle, if that's something that you want to build through your team. Looking at their defensive backfield, though, I think that's the bigger need for Tulsa right now. But, again, position scarcity, the market sometimes dictates which way you go. So wouldn't be surprised if they try to move a linebacker down to defensive tackle here at all.
Okay, so Mike, do you see maybe Forrest Dalton or Aaron Gooden coming off, with this selection, or maybe Golden Dino or Saeed Gore?
Yeah, they can definitely go that route. As was just mentioned, they could also look defensive back here. It's a little thin back there as well. As now that I'm seeing this roster and looking at the defensive backfield, actually, as I mentioned, defensive tackle earlier, they were a victim of a game last season where they were stuck with the generics playing defensive backfield late in the game. So why not go ahead and address the defensive backfield now? Pick up a nickel corner or and maybe even in the next round also pick up more defensive backup. Or in corner or safety. So I think defensive backfield now at this point.
All right. Well, we're getting ready to see if you're right, Mike. The pick is in. And Cam, who do we have?
With the 45th pick in the Season 18 SFL Rookie Draft, the Tulsa Desperados select King Rashid, cornerback. Fort Worth by way of Sioux Falls. You're on the clock.
Congratulations, King Rashid. We called it. Very good player. Very good dude in general. Had a really nice interview with him. Great addition to the team. Let me see. Mike, what are your thoughts on King Rashid?
Oh, excellent pickup. As we see King Rashid right there on camera,
Yep.
One of the few guys left in the green room back there. So, hey, man, great to see him come off the board in the second round. Great pickup for Tulsa as well. Like I said, a position of need. Great guy, great pickup. And, he's going to do great things over there in Tulsa and filling in at that nickel spot over there.
Mm-hmm. Steven, what are your thoughts on King Rashid?
Love it. Love the dynamic playmaking ability that he has. I think that's going to be great for Tulsa to use their marketing, right? They're going to have Doug Brown with the SimPod. I think that a young playmaker like King Rashid is going to do wonders for their brand and visibility going forward.
And Tyler.
If memory serves me right, this is a fantastic pick. I think he also had his lone pick six of his SFLM career the same day or in the same week his mother passed away. So this kid is a fantastic pickup for Tulsa. He fits in right in with what Dion's trying to do. Nothing but the best for King and nothing but the best for Tulsa Desperados. It's a fantastic pick. I think Tulsa has right now, with drafting Douglas Brown, Brooke Beisel, and King Rashid, I think they have won the draft.
Indeed.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
I'm saying this against my team who went and picked up Randy Squarebush. That I think even Randy Squarebush is a steal, and we got a fantastic player, and we're going to do some great things. But Tulsa's had 3 picks here in the first 2 rounds, and they have done so much with them. They've got character picks. They've got playmakers on their side. They have got the team that can possibly dig them out of this 2-10 hole they've dug themselves into.
Tyler, you don't need to say nothing about 2-10 ever again.
I'll continue digging my grave over here.
That's right. We got pick 44, and somebody likes to dig their grave. Let's just go with it. It's all good. All good.
Fort Worth is up, and you need 7 players, Steven. Whew, and you picked up Johnny Reno, which is absolutely amazing at the quarterback position. Great pickup. But you
Thank you.
need possibly a second tight end, um, linebacker. You could use a free safety, strong safety, kicker, punter. Okay, so you don't need none of it. Oh, okay.
None of it. No, we're not going to tip our hand at all. So Mike, please speculate. Tyler, please speculate. I'm not going to tip anything. You know, we've done a great job, in my opinion. You and my front office. You know, Robert Garrett Jr., Nacho, myself, and Aaron Alexander have done a great job. So you know, I'm on the panel tonight. I've been monitoring some of the conversations that the team is having. But you know, Aaron, Robert, and Nacho are steering the ship right now. So I'm just kind of hanging on. I've seen the conversations, but I think they've done a great job. We've had a lot of great talks with a lot of wonderful prospects, a lot of wonderful people. I feel confident that no matter who we get, we're going to be ready to work.
I tried, y'all. I tried. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, right now, the obvious position of need that kind of stands out is somewhere in the defensive front seven. If it's someone that they like right there, linebacker or DN, that they can address at this point, I think that's what the route they're going to go. But one thing about Fort Worth in general that I going into the draft Thursday and realizing that they were needing a quarterback position again, but this is actually the first quarterback that they actually selected. But this is their fourth season, and it's going to be their third quarterback. What I kind of took away from that was the first 4 seasons, they're in that kind of St. Louis gladiator mode for a while, you know, where St. Louis was every season looking for a quarterback. Of course, you know, they addressed the need there, a glaring need right there, but you know, kind of, you know, makes me question what's going on over there. Why are you replacing quarterbacks every couple of seasons? And you did have a huge exodus over there this season. So that's just, as an analyst and looking at it, that makes me wonder what's going on in Fort Worth a little bit. But glaring needs on that defensive front seven. They could address linebacker or the defensive line. But I lean towards defensive line right here for Fort Worth.
All right. Quickly, Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not going to say anything other than I think a linebacker's coming off the board the next 2 picks. I think we got to get the pick in. I'll let Cam announce it.
Absolutely. The pick is indeed in. So, Cam, who do we have?
Javon, yeah.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Everybody go Google yourself right now.
Oh, I was, and look at that. I was muted. This whole 46th pick has been botched. There you go. So anyway, y'all can tell the story. I'm going to hide in my corner.
So what you guys didn't hear, if you've been hearing us or not hearing us, basically if you haven't heard, Jabril Curse, the commish typed in Jabril Curse's name into Google due to some conflict of he was having some memory loss, and then Jabril Curse, when he typed it in Google, is actually the #1 response was Jabril Curse's profile on the simulationfl.net website. So I thought that was very cool, very insightful look there. And Mike, just to kind of, since I'm already talking, you know, the quarterback thing, why we've looked through that is, you know, starting with Xander Gold, you know, he had some better affiliations with other franchises through the league, didn't have a whole lot of room at the time. And we had a good enough relationship that Xander was a good enough community member. We brought him on, but after 1 season wanted to go to Carolina. We totally supported that move. And Cameron Curtis, when we drafted him as a wide receiver and was able to move him and transition him to a quarterback, gave us 2 really great seasons, gave us great work as our director of communications and work on social media. But just life. He's in the military, had some things come up, and he's still in the league, just doesn't have a player anymore. And so we wish him the best in all the things that he's pursuing off the field. But, we don't view it as anything to worry about. We've had a couple of coaches that just in my mind was a philosophy difference. So, Dave going to Houston, we have nothing but respect for Dave and all the work that he did for our franchise. It's just a matter of sometimes it doesn't work out. Some things didn't line up, and he was hungry for his opportunity, and we support him just like we support Chris Komisak and his ventures into Queen City. We always want what's best for the players. And so if they feel like they're not getting the opportunity with our team, we're going to do our best to find them a home somewhere else. And those two guys have done a really great job. So we don't feel any kind of nervousness at all. We love the draft process. We love all the free agents. We love the community in general. So, we view it as an honor to have 8 picks because it gives us an opportunity to bring in some fresh perspectives and a new look on the league in general. So we love it. We love bringing new players on.
Well, me, I'm going to ask the hard-hitting.
You have to. Baby. It's all good.
Investigative stuff. Me, I'm, TMZ kind of guy.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I just wanted to answer it while I had the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you addressed that. So Tyler, what do you think about the next pick that they have? Well, give us a little bit of your thoughts on Jabril and then who they should pick next.
Yeah, final defensive lineman, true defensive lineman off the board, and it goes to Fort Worth. Jabril Curse is going to be able to, get around the edge and hopefully get in the backfield. They're going to have to do battle with Lone Star a couple of times, and the ability to get into the backfield and stop Ike McBride a couple of times is going to have to be the key for Fort Worth, and so getting Curse to fill out everybody on the edge, that's going to be fantastic. As far as their next pick goes, I think this is where they go linebacker. I don't really see anywhere else they could go. Then again, I think linebacker is the biggest need on the board here for Fort Worth. I've been hammering Dalton's nail all draft long. I wanted him to get off the board. He really impressed me in the season.
Well, let's see if you're right, Tyler. The pick is in. Cam, who did Fort Worth select?
With the 47th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the Fort Worth Toros select Amelia Rose, kicker. DC has the last selection of the night with pick 48.
All right, kicker off the board. Looks like a little off on that one, just a little bit.
Well, Ashley, I was trying. Did you see me signal like that? I did that. I was trying. I knew you weren't coming back to me. I was trying to tell you kicker.
You were flicking a bug.
I was trying. Well, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the reasoning why.
Okay.
They've had special teams the entire existence of the franchise. So, with Taco being gone, and now not picking again until later in the draft, they can come back and address linebacker. So, with the kickers running out, they didn't want to risk doing that. So, go ahead and get our special teams position out of the way. So that's why at the last second I was like, man, they're going kicker, but I knew it wasn't coming back to me. So I'm tired of being right today anyway.
Oh, you tired of being right?
No.
Yeah, and I'll give you some insight. I'll give you some insight to why we were really looking kicker here. Number one, Mike, you nailed it. We value the special teams. Yeah. So kicker is definitely a position that we value very highly. But on top of that, there's the amount of teams that need a linebacker at this point, not as heavy. And so right. We, again, when we weighed that, it was like, okay, we need to go after a kicker here. And so, DC coming up definitely needs a linebacker. But, again, with the value at the positions, we felt like, man, you know what, we really need to go get the kicker we want and make sure that's there for us to use. Our third linebacker, not always going to see the field. We're not always in a 4-3. We get into sub packages. We get pulled into a lot of pass formations. So a nickel is usually on the field for us, a third linebacker. Just, while we value the position, we need it. It's still one of those things that, when we go to call on our kicker, we need that player to be ready.
Indeed. All right. Now, last pick of the night, the 48th pick goes to DC, and they are in need of 5 players still. They do have a significant amount of cap space available. to kind of work around. They, just as a reminder, they picked up cornerback Daryl Bullock and linebacker Deacon O'Rourke already. So, where do we think we're going to go, gentlemen? Second tight end, um, perhaps another free safety or strong safety. And let's start with Tyler on this one.
I think actually they're gonna go linebacker here. I know I've been saying Forrest Dalton a whole lot, but I think an outside linebacker is where they're looking at as far as a need goes. I think they're going to need to run with at least three linebackers in this stage of the SFL. Expanded rosters, you can afford to have three linebackers. I know that was a give and take scenario for a lot of teams in past seasons of the SFL. I think they have to go with a third linebacker.
Okay, gotcha.
Defensive end also, Tyler. They have an opening at defensive end as well. They could maybe look at the higher valued linebackers, since some of the linebackers that are remaining are pretty close in value. They could go after that top value linebacker in Forrest Dalton, and maybe, as Tyler suggested earlier, move them to defensive end to try to keep that value up and give yourself a really solid rookie there in that position.
Good stuff, gentlemen. And we're getting ready to find out right now. Of course, Mike, I got you. We're getting ready to find out who DC selected. Cam, who you got?
The last one of the night, folks. With the 48th pick in the SFL Season 18 rookie draft, the DC Dragons select Aaron Gooden, outside linebacker. Rounds 3 and the conclusion of the draft, your partial round 4, begins same time tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Got some highlights on Gooden. Panel will take you out here in round 2 of the rookie draft.
All right. So, Mike, what did you think about that pickup? Gooden off the board?
Well, a great pick, a position of need, as Stephen was mentioning earlier. That's why they went the route that they went with the kicker, but he knew DC would probably go this route. I mean, they need to address that front seven, desperately right now. So, great pick to finish off the second round for DC. They're going to, they need defensive help over there with the division that they play in over there in the north with the offensive-minded teams. With London and Baltimore through the air, Queen City. They're going to pound the rock at you. So yeah, why not help out that front seven with another linebacker over there?
All right, Tyler, final thoughts?
Since the beginning of the SFLM, San Jose has been a talent factory for defensive players, and this is no exception. Gooden is a fantastic player. He's gone to a great organization in DC. Destro and company are going to take good care of him, and he's going to repay them in kind throughout the rest of the season. So, great pickup, great player. I love the pick.
He has been extremely dangerous in the SFLM, so I agree with that. And Steven, what about you?
Yeah. Just wanted to top that off. Aaron Gooden was the player that we mentioned earlier, broke the single game SFL tackle record. So, I know that DC loves that, aggressiveness. They want a very hard-nosed defense, and they got a great one here in Aaron Gooden to really help solidify what's already a great tackling defense.
All right, and to sum up everything, just in a few words, gentlemen, before we actually leave. Mike St. Green, what are your thoughts on second round of this draft?
First of all, Happy New Year again to everyone out there in SFL and watching, and to you guys here on the panel. Great to be on here with you guys today. It was fantastic second round, and for you guys that are still looking to hear your name call, I know how it is. I know your anxiety level. It's starting to, rise a little bit, only a few slots left out there. But yeah, keep your heads up, guys. Stay positive. You'll hear your name called. And for those who don't, good luck to you as well. Just go back to the minors, keep working hard. As several examples of that. GP Wells, like I said, who came to mind as one guy that's, spent 3 years, 3 seasons in the minors rather. And, he heard his name called the first round a couple of days ago. So, keep your heads up, stay positive, and hopefully you guys will hear your name called tomorrow.
Indeed. Tyler, what about you?
Another great night for SFL, huh? This round, the second round, was heavily dominated by kickers. 4 of them of the 5 kickers went, and also a punter went. So 5 of 6 of the special teams players got their name called tonight. It was also heavily dominated by offensive and defensive line picks. And again, can't go wrong with getting more people to battle in the trenches. And just what a great night. Great draft. Thanks for having me on, Cam. Thanks for having me. Ashley, Mike, Steven, is a great time. And well, this is it for me until we start calling games again, or maybe until a certain content creator show rolls around on January the 8th.
I like that.
In a few days' time, which I know you'll be part there, Ashley. Steven, I know I think I've invited you, but I think you're invited as well. Mike, maybe not you. We can't have you and Eddie on the same panel yet. But all right. Thanks everybody. I'll see you guys later. Over to Steven.
And Steven.
Yeah, great. I just wanted to really piggyback off what Mike was saying is, if you haven't had your name called, if you're feeling any kind of doubt, begin to look at what team needs, right? If you're not familiar with what positions you can flex to, study up, become familiar, and then look at teams that have positional needs, and don't put all the onus on these team owners. Reach out, show a little initiative, and I promise you that is a way to get put on people's draft boards. Reaching out, letting them know how hungry you are to be on their roster is a great way to get drafted. And if you don't, by all means, like Mike said, the SFLM is a great place. We have a great community. Don't get discouraged. There's always openings. The league will always make sure that you have a place. So stick with it. Had a great time here with you guys. The panel tonight was fantastic. Had a lot of fun with y'all. Looking forward to tomorrow's final rounds, plural.
Yes, exactly. And piggyback off of all of you. If you didn't hear your name called, don't be discouraged. Still got a lot of time left, a lot more picks to go. For those that did get called, congratulations. I wish you the best of luck in your seasons. And we're looking at who's going to be Rookie of the Year. Huh? But again, for Cameron Irvine, for Mike St. Green, Stephen Hackett, Tyler Falk, I have been Ashley Jackson, your host. It was a pleasure bringing all of this to you. For more information about us, please contact or visit us at www.simulationfl.net to join our Discord, to get more details about our wonderful community and everything else. Looking forward to seeing you all again very soon. Have a great night and Happy New Year.